Yes, good morning. Are you able to see the presentation? Hello, am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Are you able to see the presentation?
Yes, sir.
So in the previous lecture, we are discussing about the cloud scheduling, right? So we have discussed about some of the scheduling algorithms, or how the task can be scheduled in a cloud. Today we'll look at another scenario where, like, the cloud scheduling is subjected to the deadline. Okay, so here we are considering a scenario where you have one maybe application or a job, right? So that is a very huge job you want to complete, right? And you are completing that task or complete job or the application, right, with the help of multiple systems, with the help of multiple systems. In the sense, you are using a cluster, right? You are using a cluster. So when I talk about the cluster, where you need one master node and a number of maybe worker node. So one master node and one master node and number of worker node. And maybe that entire job. Okay, so the job can be divided into multiple tasks. It will be divided into multiple tasks, and each worker node will take responsibility of executing that particular task. Okay, or I can say that that complete application or job can be divided into number of tasks, and each worker node is responsible for completing that particular task. Okay, so now the question is, I want to complete that particular job, so within the deadline. So completing the job within the deadline, in the sense of all the task which is assigned to each worker node has to be completed at the same time. So that is the requirement. All the task which is assigned to each worker node has to be completed at the same time. Okay, to perform a particular job, so we need to submit the workload. Okay, it is a kind of a processing where you'll be having a huge workload, and that workload has to be divided and it should be distributed to the worker node first. Okay, so the workload has to be divided and it should be uh, distributed. Okay, and it is mentioned that the work, your master node. Okay, so where there is one master node, okay, and the number of uh, worker node. Okay, so W1, W2, maybe till WN. Okay, so the master node will take the responsibility of transferring this entire workload to each worker node. Okay, and it will transfer the workload in a sequential manner. In the sense, first it will maybe you have now, let's say that this workload. Okay, so workload will be divided, and each part will be transferred to each of the worker node. And as I mentioned, so there are two ways, right? So how we are going to divide this workload? Okay, so one is equal partitioning, and another is optimal partitioning. Okay, so now we look at the optimal partitioning. So what is the aim of this optimal partitioning is that so normally when you submit a workload, okay, so the complete execution, in the sense which involves your transfer time plus the processing time, transfer time plus the processing time. Okay, so that is for each worker node. So that means first you transfer the workload to worker node. That is the transfer time. Okay, once it is transferred, then it can start processing. Okay, then for the worker node, You can transfer the workload only after transferring the workload to the worker node 1. Then only you can transfer. As I mentioned, it is sequential. Then after that, it will start. So that means the total time required is for this, if it is T1 and P1, if it is T1 and P1, and worker node 2 is T1, okay, T1 in the sense you can send only after T1, right? T1 plus T2 plus maybe P2, processing 2. And similarly for worker node 3, it is like a T1 plus a T2 plus a T3, because the transferring workload to node 3 will happen only after transferring to workload to W1 and W2. So it is plus 3. Okay, so that means you cannot, in order to meet the criteria, in the sense all the worker node has to complete at the same time. In that case, you cannot equally divide. You cannot equally divide. So that is optimal partition. You divide in such a way that all will be completed at the same time. It is something like this. Maybe if you have maybe workload, maybe if there are three server, three worker node, you cannot divide like 35, 35, 35, right? So maybe it is something like this. Maybe for first node, maybe 60, right? It has in more time, right? Maybe 60, then maybe 25. Okay, then 15 and so on. So that is the optimal partitioning. Okay, so now this notation which will illustrate the same thing. Okay, so now what is pi? Is pi I, which represents a periodic task with the arbitrarily divisible load of application A. As I mentioned, see, entire application will be divided into number of tasks, right? So the task is represented by pi I. Suppose if there are maybe 10 tasks, it will be pi 1, pi 2 till pi 10. Okay, now what is the arrival time of particular task? Okay, so that is arrival time is represented by AI. So arrival time of task is pi I. And similarly, DI. So DI is a relative deadline. If it is arrived at AI, and what is the deadline? The deadline is DI. Okay, now sigma I. So now what is sigma I? Sigma is a workload allocated to pi I. So workload is allocated to pi I. So that is ith node. Okay, suppose if total workload is uh, okay, if the total workload is something like 100, if it is 100, and if there are three worker node, okay, and assume that maybe each worker node will be getting maybe in the ratio of, as I mentioned, 60 or maybe 25 and 15, so on. So that is nothing but this is sigma I. Okay, then S naught is a head node, as I already mentioned, one master node, and Si number of, so n number of worker node, so n number of worker node. And what is this sigma? Sigma is the total workload. So this is the total workload. So with respect to here, the total workload is 100. Total workload is 100, and sigma is the workload is allocated to each task. Okay, maybe if there are three worker node, it is 60, 25, and 15, whatever it may be. This is one example. And n is the number of total number of nodes. So number of nodes in the virtual cloud allocated to application A. Okay, next n min. So now this we want to find. So that means what is the minimum number of nodes required, right? So that it should complete within the deadline, or what is the condition. Now, so this epsilon of n comma sigma. So n is the total number of node, and uh, this sigma is the workload, right? So this is the total execution time. So the execution time required by n worker node to process the entire workload. Okay, now what is this? Tau, it is a cost of transferring unit of workload. Cost of transferring unit of workload, right? So for one unit of workload, so what is the cost? For example, here you are transferring 60 unit, right? Maybe one unit, in case if one unit, if it is maybe 2. Okay, it may be in terms of execution time required, right? So here the cost we are talking in terms of time. Maybe if for unit it is, if it is 2 second, then for you are transferring 60 unit of workload, then 60 into 2, 120. Okay, now this row represents the cost of processing a unit of workload. So this is the processing time for unit of workload. How much? Now then for you have 60 unit of workload, right? So now let's say that uh, this tau, it is nothing but a unit of this is the transfer time for unit of workload. Assume that it is a 2, and row is a processing time. Assume that it is a 3. Okay, so now in this case you have 2 2 into 60, so that is for transfer time, and for processing it is once again 60 into 3, so that is processing unit time. The unit cost is 3. Okay, so next this alpha. Now what is alpha? Alpha is a load distribution vector. How exactly you are distributing the load? I mentioned here 60, 25, 15. How it is mentioned in the sense, maybe if the load distribution factor is, I mentioned if something like this, a 0.6, 0.25 and 0.15, then load distribution factor, load distribution will be something. So now this 0.6, 0.25 and 0.15, which represent the load distribution vector. Okay, so next, fraction of workload allocated to the worker node. Okay, so now what is the fraction? So that is nothing but is alpha I into sigma, alpha I into sigma. So that is 0.6. Okay, 0.6 into sigma, 0.6 this into 100. So that becomes 60. 60 is a workload allocated to SI. So this is the workload allocated to SI. So that is represented by sigma I. Sigma is nothing but alpha into sigma. Okay, now similarly, so for this tau I, so that is a uh, time to transfer the workload to SI. How much time is required? How much time is required is nothing but this is the total data. All right, so this is the total data is in the sense 100 into 0.6, that is 60. 60 into transfer time for unit workload. So that is, as I mentioned, it is a 2. Okay, so that is a time to transfer the data. As I mentioned in the earlier slide, right? So where there is a master node and it will be sending data to each worker node, W1, W2 and W3 and so on. Okay, so now what is the total time required? So that is represented by tau I. And what is delta I? Delta is a processing time. Delta is a processing time. So that means total execution time, it is represented as a tau 1 plus delta 1, tau 1 plus delta 1. Okay, so now T naught is the start time and A is the arrival time of the application. For the entire application, when it will arrive, that is a A. And the deadline is D. Okay, then Cn is a complete time for application A. Okay, as I mentioned, so all should be completed at the same time, right? So all should be completed at the same time. So it can be written as something like this, right? So now what is tau 1? So this is the transfer time for the worker node 1. Transfer time for the worker node 1. So this is the transfer time. After transferring only, you can the worker node can start processing. That is represented by delta 1. Now with respect to S2, node 2 transfer will happen at here, right? Because it has to wait till this one, because the workload is transferred sequentially. So now this is a T1 or a tau 1. After that only it can transfer the data to node 2. So that is tau 1 plus tau 2 plus delta 2. And this is nothing but yes, tau 1 plus tau 2 plus delta 3. Then tau 3 and delta 3. So now what is the requirement? All should be completed at the same time. All should be completed at the same time. So that is nothing but so this part. So this should be equal to this, and it should be equal to this, and so on. So now I will equate that. Okay. So instead of writing so this tau 1 and delta 1. Okay, now what is the tau 1? So this is the transfer time. So now how do I write a transfer time? Okay, so what is you can write this in terms of alpha I sigma into tau, right? So why it is like this? As I mentioned, this is the total workload. As I take an example in the previous case, total workload if it is 100, and for the first worker node, I have assigned 0.6, right? 0.6, and for unit cost, as I mentioned in the previous slide, was 20. So that is 100 into 0.6 into 2, so that is 120. So this is the transfer time. And similarly for the processing time. So the processing time is so this part is the same. So that is same is nothing but this 0.6 into 100, and rho is the processing time. So now let's say that it may be having different processing time. So maybe 180. So 120 plus 180, which is equal to 300. Okay, now for the second node. Second node, the transfer time happens only after this one, right? Uh, so this is nothing but 120. So 120 plus, and similarly for transfer time for the uh, second worker node. So that is once again based on the fraction, how much you are transferring. So now you have to, this should be equal to this, and this should be equal to this, and so on. If all has to be completed at the same time. So now I will equate this. So that is nothing but maybe I will take first two equations. Okay, I will take first two equation. So that is alpha 1 into alpha into tau plus then alpha 1 into uh, sigma into rho. Okay, so which is equal to uh, anyhow, so this is there in both, right? So this part anyhow I don't write this one. Okay, anyhow this gets cancelled. So so this I will write maybe what is common here, alpha 2 and this alpha 2 and this. Then I will write transfer time plus processing time. Transfer time plus processing time. So here this also common, right? So this also common, and so finally this becomes alpha 1 equal to alpha 2 rho plus p by, so this processing time. Okay, so that is what represented here. Alpha 1 equal to alpha 2. Instead of writing that tau rho and this, they have represented this as beta. Okay, so how we can write it? So alpha 1 equal to alpha 2 by beta. So now what is beta? Beta is nothing but, so this is the processing time, and this is the unit of processing, the unit cost for processing, and this is the unit cost for transferring, and this is the unit cost for processing. Okay, so now you are finding the relation, right? How we can write alpha 1 in terms of alpha 2. So that is what alpha 2 is nothing but beta into alpha 1. So alpha 2 is nothing but beta into alpha 1. And similarly, how you can write alpha I? Alpha I, how you can write it? See, alpha 2 is nothing but alpha 2 is nothing but beta into alpha 1, and similarly alpha 3 is nothing but beta into alpha 2, and alpha 4 equal to beta into alpha 3. How you can write in terms of alpha 1? Maybe then I'll write alpha I equal to is beta to the power I minus 1 into alpha 1. So this is how you write in terms of alpha 1. Okay, so now, so alpha I, it is a load distribution, right? So when you summation of alpha equal to 1, right? So summation of alpha is equal to 1. So as I taken that where I wrote, uh, I have distributed something like this, right? 0.6, 0.25 and 0.15. So when you add that, it should be 1. When you add that, it should be 1. So load distribution, how we are going to distribute the load. Okay, so now you write alpha I. So this is alpha is nothing but 1 to n. In the previous example, I have taken 3 node, right? So now how you write everything in terms of alpha 1. So this is alpha 1 you write. And how do you write alpha 2? Alpha 2 is nothing but beta into alpha 1. And how do you write alpha 3? Beta square into alpha 1. Then beta to the power 3 into 1. So like that. Okay, so now this follows what is called as 1 plus x square plus x cube. All right, so when you simplify this, you will get 1 minus beta by 1 minus beta to the power n. Yes, 1 minus beta to the power n. Okay, so now what is the execution time? As I mentioned, deadline in the sense all should be same, right? So all so it should complete at the same time. Now I will I will compare this. Okay, this I will write it as this is the total execution time. Either you can take this or anything. So that is what I write. So the total execution time. So this, right? So this I will write it as 1 minus beta by 1 minus beta to the power n sigma tau plus rho. Okay. Next, yes, CA of n. So what is CAN of? That is the completion time. So now the completion time decided by the starting time. So here the starting time is given by T naught. T naught plus. So now this is the total time. This is the total time. For the completion time is based on the when it is started. T naught plus T naught plus this. Okay. So this should be right, as I mentioned, it should be completed within the deadline, right? So now what is given here? Arrival time of the application is A, and completion time or a deadline for application is D. So that means it should be completed within the deadline, right? So this CA of N, it should be completed within the deadline. All right, so then you just equate this, right? So this value is nothing but this is nothing but this, right? So the same thing is written. It should be less than or equal to A plus D. It should be less than or equal to A plus D. Okay. Then you just you simplify this, all right? So just equating, maybe bring that left hand side to the right hand side, all right? So that is 1 minus beta sigma. All right, so this as it is, and this part it goes to the right hand side, 1 minus beta to the power n A plus D, and this T naught will go to the right side. Okay, so finally you arrive at what is called as a beta to the power n. Okay, so less than or equal to 1 minus sigma into tau by A plus D minus T naught. Okay, so and when you take where I want to find uh, n, right? So what is n? What is n here? What is n here? See, our objective is to complete an application or complete a job. Okay, it is a big job. I want to complete that within the deadline. Right? You are not no, processing that job in one node. Right? So you are using a cluster. All right. So the cluster contains one master node and n number of worker node. So here we are talking about what is the minimum number of worker node required. So minimum number of worker node are required to complete the job or the application within the deadline. To complete the job within the deadline. So that is n min. So n min is nothing but ln of gamma, where gamma is nothing but 1 minus sigma into tau divided by 1 plus d minus t naught. Okay, so it should be, so you should have, so minimum that many number of minimum nodes. Okay, so that many number of minimum nodes in order to complete the task within the deadline. Complete the task within the deadline. Okay. So in the previous example, as I mentioned, our objective was to objective was that all the node has to be completed at the same time. All the node has to be completed at the same time. So because of that, we have used what is called as the optimal partitioning rule. In the sense, the workload is not equally distributed. Workload was not distributed. So for the first node, maybe more workload, and second node slightly lesser than the first one, so on. Because the first worker node get more time for execution, right? And the second node will get a slightly lesser than the first node, and so on. So because of that, we have used optimal partitioning rule. In case, okay, in case if it is if you are using one more partitioning was equal partition rule. Okay, so equal partitioning, so that workload is equally divided. So workload is equally divided, but the distribution is once again in the sequence. In the sense, the master node first will distribute the load to worker node 1. Then after that only it will distribute to worker node 2. Then worker node 3, and so on. Okay. So now what is the time required? All right. So if it has to be completed, okay, if the deadline is mentioned, what is the condition? What is the minimum number of node required? Okay, sigma n comma or epsilon n comma sigma, no, not sigma. So what is? Let's forget. What is the notation you used there? Okay, or the total execution time. Okay, so now the total execution time is written as a, right. So now what is the total execution time? So the total execution time is here. We need to consider this, right? So because of we have not equally distributed the load, then the execution time is we have to consider this one only. We have to consider this one only, because the last node, okay, so which will take more time. Last will take more time, because we are transferring the workload to the last node only after sending the workload to the remaining n minus 1 node, right? So we have to consider this. So this is the total time required. So this is the total time required, right? So yes, so this is the total time. So this total time is nothing but this delta n plus what is this one? Is transfer time for T1 or 2, 3, maybe till Tn. But this is the same, right? So this is same because you have equally distributed. You have equally distributed. So because of that, that equation is a summation of I equal to 1 to n, as I mentioned here, all right, plus delta n. And what is this? So since you have equally distributed, right? So equal distributed in the sense here sigma by n, sigma by n. So now what is this one? It is a total workload. Total workload is 100 in the sense, equally distributed in the sense it will get around maybe 33.33, right? So 33.33, and into n, right? For each one, it requires this much time, right? But in the earlier case, we have not equally distributed. We have distributed based on, as I mentioned, maybe 0.6, maybe whatever we have taken, right? So here it is equally distributed. So n into, so this and the cost is tau. So now when I simplify this, you will get this sigma into this part. And the second one is processing time. So the processing time is also same. So why the processing time is same? Because you are equally distributed. So that is sigma by n and into rho. So this is the time. Now what is the condition? So if this has to be completed within the deadline, you just equate it, right? So this is nothing but this, and when it will start. So that is a t naught, right? So that is the total time. So this should be completed within the deadline a plus d. Okay. So now equating this. Now what is n, or what is the minimum number of node required? You just bring so n to one side and other parameter to other side. So finally you will get what is called as yes, n min equal to sigma into rho by a plus d minus t naught minus sigma into tau. So this is the minimum number of node required in case of equal partitioning. If you equally partition, so this is the requirement. Okay. Otherwise, yes, in the previous case, optimal partitioning. For that also, optimal partitioning also. So you have seen, right? So what is the minimum number of node required?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, so in APR, if you have to find total execution time of,
Sorry.
in APR, if you have to find the total execution time of
Your voice is not.
is my voice clear now?
Some disturbances are. Yeah, yeah, tell me.
Sir, in APR, if you have to find the total execution time of a node, like for the second node, then in that case, it will only be the execution time. It will only be the transfer and the processing time of only the second node, or from the starting.
Come again. You're not. Your voice is breaking.
Sir, am I audible?
Yeah.
Sir, in EPR, if you have to find the execution time of a particular node, for example,
Okay.
the second node only, so in
Okay.
that case, that will only be the transfer time of second node and the processing time of the second node, right?
No, you have to consider first one also, right?
Sir, but execution time of second one will have, why are we considering the transfer time of the first node?
Okay. You are considering only for a particular node, one node.
Yes, sir.
One node you can consider only that much.
Okay.
But when you consider entire application, then you have to consider all. As I mentioned, now let's say that this is a master node. Okay, from the master node, first you are transferring data to worker node 1. Now let's say that this is tau 1. Okay, so now the total execution time is tau 1 plus maybe delta 1. And for worker node, so worker node will start processing immediately after transferring this one. Now for worker node 2, okay, so worker node 2, it is nothing but so this one tau 1 plus, so that means it has to wait till here. It has to wait till here. Okay, then this. So here you are considering, see, for completion of this task. So now it is already ready, right? So initially it was ready, but it has to wait till this tau1 plus tau2. So see, this time it was idle actually.
Okay, sir. So for the execution time of the second node, it will only be T2 plus delta 2, but completion time will be T1 plus T2 plus delta 2, right?
See here, what we are considering is that now you are talking with respect to equal partitioning or previous optimal partitioning.
Equal partitioning, sir.
Okay, equal. See here, what they talk is that execution time, in the sense the total time, they're talking in terms of the total time. You have to consider that waiting time also.
Okay, sir.
Because it is already ready, but it has to wait till tau1 time in order to receive the workload.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so next is scheduling MapReduce applications subjected to uh, deadlines. Okay, so here once again you have maybe some notations. Okay, so I have scheduled one. So by 11:10 I have scheduled one quiz. So that is based on whatever I have taught maybe last 30 minutes. Okay, after that one I'll start with this part. Otherwise we will be confused with the previous concept and this. Okay, so the quiz will be scheduled in 1 or 2 minutes. After the quiz, once again I will continue. Okay, so we will continue with the discussion. Yeah, are you able to see the presentation?
So,
Yeah.
sir, can you please tell us the answers of the quiz?
For first one, it is distribution, right? The distribution of the workload. 640. 640 when you distribute, that is 400 plus 240. So total it becomes 640. And for second one, the total time required, right? So total time required to complete the task. So there you need to consider uh, yes, transfer time for node 1, transfer time for node 2, uh, plus execution time for uh, node 2. So what is the values given? Yeah, first one, as I mentioned, it is 400 and 240. Okay, and the second one is the time is given, right? So the transfer time for worker node 1 is 4 and processing is 6, 4 and 6 for the first node. And second one, for the second node, it is 5 plus 7. 5 plus 7. So the time required to complete the execution in the execution of the application in the sense, you have to consider the second node. For second node, it is what is the transfer time? It is 4, right? 4 plus 5, 9, 9 plus 7, 16.
Okay, sir, thank you.
I clearly mentioned, see, maybe, yes, so the first one is directly based on this equation. Okay, I highlighted and I wrote it in reading pen also, right? Alpha 1 equal to alpha 2 by beta, and beta equal to this rho plus tau plus rho. Okay, just the values are given, directly if you substitute, you will get. Okay, so next we'll see the scheduling of MapReduce application.
Excuse me, sir.
Subject. Yeah.
Sir,
Yeah, tell me.
for the question 1 for distribution,
Okay.
how do we understand whether it is equal partitioning or optimal partitioning?
What was the question given? It is subjected to the deadline, right?
Yes, sir.
So this is with respect to the optimal partitioning.
Sir, but like, how do we understand that from the question that this is for optimal partitioning?
Okay, maybe if it is if it is with respect to the equal partitioning, I don't think any one of the answer will match, right?
Sir, if it is equal partitioning, then the answer A will be right.
Which one?
320 and 320, right?
Then the workload distributed to, okay. You have considered in that way.
I'm generally asking, sir. I have considered the 400 240 only, but I'm
Okay.
asking like, how do we differentiate?
Yeah. So what you said was correct, but while framing this question, I considered this as optimal partitioning.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So, but in the future, how will we differentiate between the two?
Maybe okay. Anyhow, this time I will consider both A and C, because maybe I could have mentioned one small statement, right? So it is equal partitioning and all. Okay, so this time I'll consider. Otherwise, in the question it will be clearly mentioned. So it is equal or optimal partitioning. Okay, and also maybe with respect to you just look at the question also. Now, what is given? What is the time required for transferring for the first node? What is the transfer time?
Sir, it's 4 minutes for both the worker nodes.
Just a minute. The cost of transferring unit of workload head node to worker node is the okay 4 minute, and the cost of processing. Okay, I have mentioned. Okay, so this time I will consider both A and C, because the time also mentioned equal, right? Otherwise, maybe based on this you can differentiate. Okay, if the transfer time is, if it is different in the sense it is not equal partitioning, right? Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so here also in the question also I have mentioned, so both as the transfer time is 4 minute only I have taken, right? So there will be confusion whether you need to consider equal partitioning or optimal partitioning. Okay, so in other cases, so based on this you can decide so whether the transfer time is same or different. Okay, or maybe in the question it will be explicitly specified, right? So whether you have to use optimal partitioning or equal partitioning. So next is with respect to the scheduling MapReduce application subjected to deadline. Maybe before showing this, maybe in the book they have directly started with the notation and all. I'll just give 5 minutes introduction to maybe how exactly the MapReduce works, so that you will able to understand these notation. Okay, I will quickly go through. First is with respect to, so one scenario you take. So now let's say that you want to complete one task in one machine. Okay, let us assume that it requires 45 minutes. Complete one task in one machine. It may be processing maybe huge amount of data. Okay, so it requires 45 minutes. Okay, so now if for 10 minutes, 10 machines are available, okay, how much time is required? Approximately. So when all machines are running simultaneously, so the 4.5 minutes. Okay, it may be vary. Okay, 4.5 minutes to 5 minutes, it may vary. Okay, but the time is reduced, right? So now this Hadoop is a framework, so which is for the same thing, right? So where the processing maybe huge job in multiple machines simultaneously, right? So where you are making use of cluster of commodity hardware. Okay, so now this Hadoop actually contains two components. One is a MapReduce and file systems. That file system is called as a Hadoop distributed file system. So where exactly you are the data which you want to process that will be stored, and the MapReduce is a programming model. Okay, so as I mentioned, so this also works based on this it follows a master slave architectures. Okay, so there is one master node and n number of slave nodes. So master node and slave nodes, and some process is running. Okay, in the master node one process which is called as a name node, and in all the slave nodes one process running which is called as a data node. Okay, so where name node will control all the data node. Similarly, other two processes called as the job tracker and the task tracker. Tracker and the task tracker, where job tracker will run in the master node, and the task tracker will run on the each slave node. So this means your entire job will be divided into number of tasks. One job will be divided into number of tasks, and each tracker is responsible for processing that particular task which is assigned. Okay, so job tracker and the task tracker. So now what is the use of this? Okay, so what is the use of this Hadoop framework? I said that, okay, if I have one task, if it requires, if I want to process this 45 minutes, and if I have, if I run this on multiple machines, if there are 10 machines, 10 machines, you require 4.5 minutes. That the concept is good, but when you go for implementation, there are a lot of headache, right? So what are the different headaches? So one headache is that you have a job and how you are going to divide that, all right? So you have to divide that task, so that is one headache. Then after that you have to combine the results. You have to combine the results. See, one is the main logic, right? So the main logic is you are processing, and apart from that, you have to handle other things also. What are the other things? How you are going to divide that, and after that, how you are going to combine the results. Okay, that is one headache. And the other headache is with respect to, now let's say that you started processing and one node fails. If one node fails, what do you do, right? So that result of that particular node is not available. That also you have to take care of, right? So if one node fails, then you have to maybe transfer the task to some other node which is already up and running, right? So there are so many additional headaches. So that additional headache will be taken care by what is called as a Hadoop framework, right? So Hadoop framework just says that you just represent, you just say that what is the main task you want to perform, and other additional things will be taken care by the Hadoop frameworks. That means how it has to be divided and how the result has to be combined. And in case if one node fails, okay, automatically the task assigned to that particular node is as I mentioned, this MapReduce is a programming model. So here you just specify, right? You just have to write only two functions. Okay, you don't need to worry about all other things. That is, one is a mapper task and one is a reduce function. You have to write only two things. One is a map function and one is a reduce function. So all the map will be executed simultaneously. All mapper tasks will be executed simultaneously. Now let us take one simple scenario. Okay. Now let us say that so there is one data set is available. So that is about the climate data. Okay. So the climate data is available. Okay. So that is weather sensors collect the data every hour at many locations across the globe. gather large amount of data. So now what is required is something like this. Now you want maybe highest temperature, okay, highest temperature in each year, highest temperature in each year. So now how do you find each year what is the highest temperature? Now you already have the data set. You already have the data set, that is huge data set. Okay, so that contains various parts. Now we are focusing on only two things. Okay, where one is the data set contains year, one is that year, and what I mentioned in the rectangle, that is the temperature. Okay, year also it contains, the temperature also it contains. Right, now you have to find maybe there may be thousands or millions of records. In that you have to find each year what is the highest temperature, each year what is the highest temperature. Now how do you process that? Suppose if you process this in one machine, okay, it is mentioned that it takes 42 minutes, one machine, that is easy to high CPU extra large instance. Okay, so now yes, now if you use Hadoop, okay, so that means you are using that multiple machines, okay, Hadoop framework, if you use that. Okay, so how exactly this will work? How exactly this one will work? So that is on, you just have to write only the mapper function and the reducer function. You have to write only how exactly map will work and how exactly reduce. You have to write one map function, mapper function, and the second one is a reducer function, mapper function and the reducer function. Okay, for each what is the input and output? So output and input and output is of a key value pair, key value. Input and output is a key value, and for reducer is also it is a key value. So input is also key value and output is also key value. Okay, now for mapper function, now what is the key values? Okay, so here the for the mapper function, key value is nothing but key. Anyhow, we are not considering key is nothing but each row of a data set. Okay, maybe first row, second row, third row, and so on. And what is the value? Value is nothing but entire record. Entire record, you can consider it as a value. Entire record, you can consider it as a value. Okay, now let's say that these are all each record. Okay, you can consider each record, okay, of that data set. Okay, now what is the input to the mapper function? Now you can see here. Okay, so mapper, maybe this, maybe you can ignore this. Maybe each row, you can consider each row, and this is nothing but entire data set or entire row. Okay, entire row is a input to the mapper function. Okay, so for this mapper function, where value is nothing but the each row. Okay, what is the output? So here the logic is very simple. You have to just focus on, you just extract what is the year and the temperature. Year and the temperature you have to extract. Year and the temperature you have to extract. That is maybe if you use maybe Java, right? Where either you can use Java, Python, or whatever it may be. Maybe you can use the index of and you can extract a particular column, the entry in the particular column. Okay, so now what is the output of this mapper function? Output of mapper function will be something like this, right? What is the first component? As I mentioned, output of this mapper function is also in terms of a key value pair. Now, what is the key? It is a year, and what is the output? Temperature. In this year, what is the temperature? Okay, and similarly, as I mentioned, you are considering the data set for entire year, right? Entire year. Each day maybe there may be different temperature, right? So 1950, there may be 22. It may be some other day, and 1950. So -11. This may be different temperatures, right? Now, how do you write a code for this one? Okay, so now I will directly go through the mapper function. Okay, so maybe MapReduce framework provides what is called as a mapper function, where you have to write only logic in that mapper function. So in the mapper function, what do you do? Okay, you just look at this part. Line dot substring. You have to extract the substring from line number 15 to 19. 15 to 19 contains actually the year. You just extract this year. And similarly, you just extract the temperature. The temperature will present in line number 88 to 92. Okay, and this you have to write. This you have to write. So that will be right in the sense it will be outputted. So this is output from the mapper function. Okay, now you just look at here. Now this is the data set. This is the data set in the sense each row. Okay, so in the mapper function, what it does, it will take each row. From that, it has to extract year and temperature. It will extract year and temperature. So 1950, what is the temperature? Okay, so each mapper function will responsible for sending the output in terms of a key value pair. Okay, so now so that will be given as input to the reducer function. So that will be given as input to the reducer function. And before that, there will be an intermediate step. There will be an intermediate step. So now what is that intermediate step in the sense? So intermediate step, what it does is for each year, what are the different temperature? It will combine. What is the each? What is the temperature on each year? It will be combined. Okay, so that will be given as input to the reducer function. So it is given here, right? So this is the intermediate step. So intermediate step, what it does is for each key values, right? For each same key value and what are the different temperature, it will be combined. Okay, now as we seen in the previous example, right? Output of mapper function. So see, this mapper function will be run on different machines. As I mentioned, there may be n number of machines, right? So each machine is responsible for executing one of the mapper tasks. Okay, so one mapper task output will be something like this, and another M2 is this, and similarly for M3 is this. Okay, so now intermediate step is it will combine this all this. Okay, for each year, these are all the different temperature, right? So that is nothing but 1950, and the different temperatures are 0, 22, and minus 11. And this will be given as input to the reducer function. Input to the reducer function. So reducer function, what it does, it will find the maximum temperature. It will find the maximum temperature in that year. Okay, so now this is a reducer code. So this is the reducer code. You just look at here. You are just finding math.max of in that set of values. In that set of values, what is the maximum temperature, and it will be written. Okay, or it will be outputted. So don't worry about this coding and all. So that coding will not be asked. Okay, and this is a main function. So this is a main function. Okay, so in the MapReduce programming model, you just write only the two functions. One is a mapper function and one is a reducer function. So map function, which just talks about how you are going to divide, and what processing will done each of the node. Okay, then reducer function will combine all the results which is outputted by the mapper function. Okay, so now this diagram will illustrate the same thing. Okay, now let's say that you have maybe huge data set, right? Huge data set, and that will be assume that you will be dividing that into three mapper tasks. It will be divided into three mapper tasks. Each mapper task is responsible for that particular part. Okay, so this is in case of MapReduce, it will be equally divided, right? It will be equally divided. So that is called as a split, right? Split, and it will be given as a input to the mapper function. And this all this mapper function will be executing simultaneously. All the mapper task will be run simultaneously. All right. And after that, its output will be given as a input to the reducer function, and in between there will be some processing. In between there will be some processing. So normally you'll be having more number of mapper tasks, and the reducer maybe few reducer tasks. There may be one reducer task, or maybe sometimes you'll be having maybe more than one reducer task also. Okay, so now what I will display is something like this. Now let's say that this is a master node, okay, and so many worker node. Now let's say that you have maybe W1 to W10, okay, W1 to W10, and now assume that you have total the data set. Total data set you have divided into, maybe assume that maybe you have maybe 100. Okay, you divided that into 100. Okay, so 100 you have divided that into 100. Okay, so now each, okay, so now each will be sent to one node. Okay, so first part, okay, it will be sent to 1, then second one will be sent to worker node 2, worker node 3, till worker node 10. Okay, then after completion, then so first it will send map task from 1 to 10. Okay, after it completes, it will send 11 to 20. 11 to 22 once again worker node 1 to worker node 10, then 20 to 30, 30 to 40, and so on. Okay, and in the so that will be processed by what is called as a mapper task. So that will be done by what is called as a mapper task. Okay, so mapper task. Okay, then after completion of that, so there will be one more task called as a reducer task. Now reducer task, what it does? A reducer task will combine all the results which is obtained by the mapper task. Okay, reduce function will be combine the results of all the mapper task. So combine the results of all the mapper task. Okay, so next we'll go back to this. Okay, now let us try to understand this. Okay, so now what is mentioned? Queue. Okay, so queue is nothing but this is a query. Okay, so query with the A is the arrival time and D is the deadline. Okay, that sigma is the that is a total workload. So total workload. Okay, next pi I m, where subscript m represents the mapper task. M represents the mapper task, and I is the I is how many mapper tasks are there? Okay, in the previous example, I said that you are dividing that into 100. In the sense, there are 100 mapper tasks. There are 100 mapper tasks where I is varying from 1 to u, where u equal to 100. So there are 100 mapper tasks. Okay, then similarly, pi r I. Okay, that is a reducer task. Okay, so 1 to v, so v number of a reducer task. So normally there will be less number of a reducer task. Okay, here they have generalized, and there are 1 to v reducer task. Okay, now the job is represented. Job is represented in terms of mapper and reducer task. So job is represented in terms of mapper and reducer task. Yes, you can see here it is represented as a mapper and reducer task. So where m number of mapper task and v number of reducer task, v or r, whatever it may be. So that many number of reducer task. Okay, so now this notation is the same. What is that? Cost of transferring data units. So this is the for transfer time for unit data transfer. So this is the time. Okay, now this is a processing time. Okay, so rho m is a processing time. So the notation is almost same as the previous time. So the cost of processing a unit of data in the mapper task. Okay, then similarly that rho r is represent cost of processing unit of data in reduce task. Okay. Now nm and nr, this is the number of mapper slot and number of reducer slot. Number of mapper slot and number of reducer slot. How many slots are available? How many slots are available? As I mentioned here, so there are 100 tasks. You are dividing your entire job into 100 mapper tasks. Okay, it does not mean that you have so that many number of mapper slot. So the number of mapper slot may be less. Number of mapper slot will be less. In a sense, suppose if you have maybe you have using only 10 nodes, you are using only 10 nodes. Okay, you are using only 10 nodes. That is nothing but I can say that you have only 10 slot. At a time you have only 10 slot. 10 slots are available. So that is what nm is a number of mapper slot, and similarly number of reducer slot. Number of reducer slot. Even though you have maybe 100 mapper tasks are available, that all 100 tasks will not be executed simultaneously, because the number of slots are available is less, 10 slots, right? Okay, so now this is actually this one what we want to compute. So that is the minimum number of slots. Okay, minimum number of slot for the mapper slot, mapper task. Okay, to complete that within the deadline. Okay, so now what is the total number of slot? Total number of slot is nothing but nm plus nr. Total number of slot is nm plus nr. And these are almost the same. Start time of the mapper task. The start time of the mapper task is maybe it is given. So maximum value for the start time of the reduced task. When the reduced task has to be start, when the reduced task has to be started, it should start within this time. Within this time, it has to start the reduced time, reduced task. Then distribution. Okay, and as I already mentioned, it is distributed equal partitioning. It is used equal partitioning, and some amount of data is transferred from a mapper to the reducer. Okay, so that is given as pi. Okay, now let us see the notation. Okay, yes. Now, how much time is required? How much time is required? First one, see, whenever I say that the completing the task which involves this mapper task, okay, processing time for mapper task as well as a reducer task. Okay, so reducer will start only after completion of the mapper task. Okay, so here they have considered reducer will start only after the mapper. It is something like this. Now let's say that you want to go from maybe here Manipal to Mangalore airport. Okay, so within this particular deadline, Now let's say that if you start at maybe 1 o'clock and assume that your deadline is 2:30. Deadline is 2:30. Assume that to reach from Mangalore to Udupi, assume that you require 30 minutes. Okay, and maybe from here to, and it is 1 o'clock. So you require 1 o'clock from Mangalore, Udupi to Mangalore. So this we consider it as a reducer task, and this will be mapper task. After completion of mapper task, then only reducer task can begin. That means you have to go to Udupi first, then only you from here. So now this means that in order to reach Bangalore at 2:30, at least you are expected to be there in Udupi by 1:30. You are expected, maybe you are expected to be there in Udupi at 1:30. Then only maybe you can reach Udupi, Bangalore at 2:30. Suppose if you reach Udupi at 2 o'clock, if you go by some shuttle bus, and if it takes 2 o'clock, then maybe you will not be able to complete. You will be able to reach at 2:30. Okay, so that is what mentioned here. Okay. Now, yes, total time is required. That is what they are represented in terms of. So this is the time required for a mapper task. Okay, and this is the time required for the reducer task. So that you are adding these two. Now, why it is like this? This is something like this. Now this sigma is nothing but this is the total. This is the total workload. Okay, or total workload, and what is given is this is this rho m. This is what is given. It is a cost of processing unit data, the cost of processing unit data. It may be mapper or reducer. So now with respect to mapper, now what is the total time? Total time is nothing but yes. So this into rho m. All right. So now let's say that you have the total data is now let's say that 100 unit. The total data is about 100 unit. Okay. Now the cost of processing each unit is now let's say that 2. Okay, or you can consider this as maybe 100 minutes. Okay, 100 minute is required, or this is the total time. And for each unit, assume that it requires 2 minutes. Then what is the total time required? Total time required is 200 minutes. Total time required is 200 minutes. But actually, you are not processing processing that in one machine, right? But you are processing that in nm number of machines, nm number of machines. So the number of machines are running parallelly, correct? Assume that this is 10 machines. You are processing that in 10 machines. So because of that 10, so that means how much time is required? 20 minutes, because all machines are processing it simultaneously. All are processing it simultaneously. Okay. Then here also the second part. Okay, that second part I will split something like this. This I will write it as sigma r and nr. So this is same as the previous one, and here they have considered maybe pi. So this is some extra data is there, some extra data, right? So that is a fraction of input produced by the mapper process. So that also they have considered. So because of that you are getting this. Okay. Then what is tau? So tau is it is a transfer time. So this is the unit of transfer time. This is the unit of transfer time, and the total data is this, right? Total data is this, and also some fraction of data is this. So this into tau. So because of that you are getting this equation. Okay, but actually in here they have mentioned that they also process this data also, but in the reality or most of the cases the reducer task actually take the process the data which is given by the mapper task, which is given by the mapper task. But here in general they have considered this part also, sigma also they have considered. Okay, rest I will complete in the next lecture. Yeah, any doubt you can ask. Yeah, otherwise, thank you all.